Hello, my name is John Paul Higginson, and I work as a lecturer for the LSCCH. And I'm here today, joined with Lorraine, who has just completed the supervision course, and she's going to give her thoughts and feelings of how she found the process going through it. So, thank you very much for taking this time to talk to me, Lorraine.
You're
Really
welcome.
appreciate it. So, did you know of the LSCCH before you started on this
No,
course?
I didn't. I came across the school on a professional network and I saw the course advertised and it really caught my attention, but I never just go with things. I always have to do my research. So, of course, I researched the school, went onto your website, looked at the tutors, had a look at their qualifications, their experience. So I did as much as I could before I committed to the course, to be honest. I was quite
Fantastic.
happy what I found.
Oh, good, good, yeah. It's important
Yeah,
to do your research, isn't it?
yeah.
Definitely, definitely. Obviously, these days, most of the work that we do is on Zoom. How did you find that doing a whole course throughout on Zoom?
Um, I think most of us prefer face to face, but I think over the last 2 years, I've certainly become more comfortable and confident using Zoom as a platform for um, learning and communicating. So in some ways it was quite nice. I'd been quite poorly previously, so the thought of having to get up and go out on a long journey and then study all day would have been quite daunting. So I found being able to study from home really helpful. And what I liked about being on Zoom, it enabled us to have a very diverse student group, which you probably wouldn't get in a face-to-face setting. And I loved that. I loved being with students in the UK and abroad as well, because the perspective and the insights I got were invaluable. So that was a real bonus for me.
Yeah, it is a. And likewise, I was the same. I until lockdown, I hadn't done any work via Zoom. But it does. It opens the world up to you, doesn't it? And like you say, learning about other cultural viewpoints and ethics and how
Yeah,
that works and fits in, as opposed to our own, is really important, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
very, very
It
useful.
was great, actually.
Yeah, and it's nice to have that. I hope you found this, then a group of people that you can communicate with outside the training that, like I say, they can be worldwide, and you're still part of a group, aren't you?
Absolutely. And I think they've left the responsibility for me to organise a Zoom catch up, actually. So that's just reminded me I better get on and do it.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I think we still want to stay in touch and just, help each other along the way in our sort of new area of work, which is for
Yeah.
some of us.
No, no, that's really important to be able to forge those new networks, especially when you're starting out. Because
Yes,
I know if I'm learning something new, then I still want to keep in touch and I can ask questions knowing that, okay, somebody out there will have that answer or will have come across a circumstance and things. And it is really important to know that you can just do that and not feel like, oh, that's a silly question. Yes,
yes.
I know there is no silly questions when it comes to this type of work. But
No,
yeah,
not
it
at
is
all.
important that you can just do that and go, okay, I know these people, I know them well
Yes.
because I've worked with them. Oh, that's really good. I'm glad that you found that so useful.
Yeah, it was great.
Brilliant. Moving on to the course content itself. So, how did you find that's going to help you moving forward as a clinical supervisor?
I think one of the biggest things I've taken away is a confidence in my ability to take on that role and also a clear framework of a model of clinical supervision, which I think fits for me and fitted for most of the students, even though we came from different schools of hypnotherapy. So I'm a solution focused hypnotherapist, others had a slightly different approach. But the model that we worked with fitted all of us. So it felt like it gave me a good framework to work in, but also enabled me to bring my own practice into that. So I really enjoyed the content. I thought it was very thorough. Um, and the notes were great as well. So I got a file now that I can go back to and refer to. I think it's, if I were going to recommend anything to students, there's also a reading list recommended, which nobody chases you if you don't read it. But if you want to get deeper into any of the topics taught, there's a great reading list that you can use and delve deep into as well. So that's helpful.
Wonderful, thank you. That's really good advice. And that was one of the questions I was going to ask you later. What
Mm.
advice would you pass on to somebody else who was considering the course? When it comes to the course itself, how did you find the format of lectures and then practical?
I thought it was well spaced out to enable the practical to happen because, you know, you have to find your case studies or the therapists who want to, you know, work with you in a supervision setting and arrange the times. And some of my students were in different sort of time zones to me, so having a little bit of space between our sessions was helpful in terms of just logistics and organizing those practical sessions. So that was good. That was good
Brilliant,
too.
brilliant. Yeah, because the courses are structured, aren't they? So we don't only just go through notes and we don't just go through the learning side of it. We do actually have to go out and practice as well, don't we?
Yeah, yeah,
Breakout rooms, and that's vitally important to have that experience firsthand before going out and doing that with other people, isn't it?
definitely. And I can remember our first sort of mock supervision where we worked in pairs, and I thought, oh, I'm a bit nervous about this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. You always have that worry in the back of your head, which is a bit daft, really. And that was really good. But then actually working with student therapists in that sort of more realistic setting was really great. And it was wonderful to be able to sort of use my experience as a hypnotherapist and as a therapist in other fields to help somebody on their way as well. And you just realize that you have got valuable things that you can offer other people, perhaps starting off in a sort of earlier place in their journey. And I learned
That's
learned quite a lot as well. Timekeeping, discipline, things like that.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Something I could do with learning a bit more of from time to time, that's for
Yeah.
certain.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's really nice, isn't it, that you seem to have come out with that feeling of, okay, now I feel equipped to help somebody that's starting out. Because
Yes.
we all start somewhere, don't we? And as you did going through this course, it was a new thing for you. So
Absolutely.
it's sort of gone full circle for you then now, hasn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And I did when I signed up, I took a leap of faith. I thought, yeah, the school looks good. The course looks really useful and helpful to me. And I don't know what it's going to be like, but I'm just going to go for it. And I'm glad I did.
I'm glad because I got to work with you as well, so which was fantastic. So yes,
Yeah,
remember that. So no,
yeah.
it's very good. So, um, how did you find the lecturer or lecturers that you had on your courses? Because obviously they're key to getting the information across, but also the structure, the pacing, and the practice to pull everything together. So how did you find working with your tutors?
Um, wow, this was interesting because our first session, I thought, oh, the tutor's very quite serious, and this is going to be interesting and quite, you know, particular about timekeeping. But actually, it was fantastic because if we're going into a, you know, that professional role of supporting others, we need those disciplines and around timekeeping and boundaries. But I found our tutor really knowledgeable, but not in a way where you felt like you didn't have any knowledge. He really allowed time for discussion. Um, he would input and offer different options and different ways of looking at things as well. And I really valued that. So I really enjoyed that teaching experience. And I felt, you know, those professional boundaries that were put around us attending, which we then should translate into our practice, were really good practice.
Really good to hear. Thank you. And it was
Yeah.
Charles, wasn't it?
It was Charles, absolutely. Yeah, I have to say, I'm not just saying this because it recorded. I've really got a lot of respect for him. Is so wise, I would say. That's the feeling I got. Very wise, um, and brought you along on the course without being patronizing. So
So yeah,
really, respected us all in terms of where we were and our different approaches to our practice as well. So I was pleased with that. In fact, I'm going to do another course with you, I think,
wonderful.
because of
That's
that.
good to
Yeah,
hear.
yeah. Yeah.
And did you find that should you had if you had questions that you were heard, and if there was anything you were unsure of, that you could ask those questions without feeling awkward and things, because it's daunting learning something new that puts us outside our own comfort zone, isn't it?
Yeah.
And yeah, did you find it was okay to approach Charles and ask as
I think
needed?
Yeah, I think at first we were all a little bit shy and, getting to know each other as a whole group. But I think as the sessions went on, you could see us all becoming just more comfortable and being able to ask questions. And there was one question, or one topic that came up very briefly, um, that indicated that people practice in a slightly different way from me. And I didn't feel okay about asking about that in that session. And by the time our next session came, I thought, no, I'm just going to ask this and get it clarified. And I'm so glad I did. So there was never any time that I felt I couldn't ask questions.
Brilliant. That's good, isn't it? So yeah,
Yeah. And the other students also had the opportunity to give feedback on the question as well. So we really got quite a broad breadth of input, which was great.
fantastic. Really glad to hear that. And for the framework of the course, as in from starting out from introduction about what supervising is, what it isn't, going right way through to learning the ethics and, like you say, boundaries. Um, how did you find that framework working within that as it progressed along? Was the pacing good?
Yeah, the pacing was really good. There was, each weekend was a good chunk of topic, if you like, and we had all the notes in advance as well. So it's really up to you if you if you want to prepare or not. No one's going to stand there and say, you've got to do this. But I found the structure really helpful. Um, and first of all, getting up at 8 a.m., being ready. No, not getting up at 8 a.m., being ready to be in class at 8 a.m. on a Saturday and Sunday. That's a bit of a challenge, but it was really good. It gave me really structure to my day. So yeah, and the content was really good. And you could see how it progressed. And we covered really important topics around legal issues as well as a supervisor,
Fantastic.
which I thought was really helpful.
Yeah, thank you. And obviously, this is a professional course.
Mhm.
This one's. Do you belong to a professional body like the BCAP or the NCIP?
At the moment, I've belonged to the Federation of Holistic Therapists for about 20 years
Wonderful.
now because I was practicing in other therapies
Yeah,
before. And I'm just about to maybe think coming out of that and going to the National Council for Hypnotherapy. So the FHT of insured me for the course. So I sent the course details off to them. So they're sort of happy with that. So it's really important to value the CPD and any accreditation as well that you can get from your professional body.
yeah.
Um,
No, that's great. Yeah, because
mm,
I know this is some things that people tend to forget about is that obviously this can count as time on your
yeah,
personal development moving forward.
yeah.
And obviously, the course follows the guidelines and the framework of the BCAP anyway.
Okay.
So yeah, your accreditation does count, which
Yeah,
is really good.
yes.
Um, I can't think of much else to say, which is a rarity for me once I get going. But is there anything you'd like to add that you feel would be useful? Anything that you would say to somebody that was probably considering the course, but maybe a little bit more reserved, should we say? Because this
Hmm.
is a different type of course for
Yeah.
most people, and taking that jump from being a therapist to a supervisor can seem quite a big gulf, can't it?
Yes.
Is there any advice you'd just like to give people who were considering?
I think if you're considering, then there's something in you that's saying, this might be for me. This might be where I need to go in the next step in my career, in my profession. So if there's an inkling that it might be for you, give it a go. You're not having to attend college every day for 2 years. It's paced well and you're treated like an adult. So I think there's nothing to lose from the way the course is structured and the expectations. I mean, was it 3 months we were, I mean, it went so quickly. I have to say, I was quite sad when it finished, really. In those 3 months, I went from feeling, can I do this? Is this right for me? To being very confident at the end of that, of yes, this was the right move for me. And I feel confident going into a clinical supervisory role as well. I mean, I've always attended supervision throughout my professional life, so I am used in some ways to what is supervision and how you can benefit from it. So if you feel that your experience, and I would say life experience as well, can help someone else, and you wanted to put a slightly different angle on your work, then I think there's nothing to lose. I thought the course was really well priced as well.
Well, that's a bonus, though.
Yeah,
Definitely,
yeah,
that's
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I thought it was very,
that,
very reasonable for what we got out of that course.
yeah. So there is a lot, and like you say, you've got all your downloadable notes. I let people know that most of the sessions are recorded. What we don't
Mhm.
record is when we're in breakout rooms or we're
Right.
discussing actual cases.
Yes.
But the rest of it is there, and those details are sent over out there so you can view as well, so you can catch up on things and
Yes.
keep it fresh in your mind. But
Yeah,
thank you
absolutely.
so much, Lorraine.
No, you're
I
welcome.
met you on one of the very early weekends, didn't I?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
for weekend, I believe. No, 2 weekends,
Two
and
weekends. Yeah.
yeah, so it was a pleasure meeting you, and to for me to see how your confidence is now talking about this from when I met you to start off with, which is
Yes.
wonderful to see. So
Oh, thank
it
you.
shows that you've absolutely embraced it. So
Yeah, yeah, I've loved it. I
yeah,
was really sad when the course finished. I went from being, yeah, is this for me? Well, I'm going to do a leap
yeah.
of faith to coming out the other end and thinking this is really great. And I'm so glad I took the leap and did the course.
Thank you, and I look forward to speaking to you maybe in a future time, either lecturing or giving another review and seeing how you progress through. So
Thank you.
thank you so much. Thank you for
Okay,
taking the time for doing this.
you're
It's
welcome.
wonderful.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.